Hello and welcome. My name is Jevgenij Rusakov and you're watching TVP World, interview from Vilnius. Amid ongoing repression in Belarus, the issue of political prisoners remains at the center of international concern, despite recent releases by the authorities. Questions persist about whether these steps signal any real change or are merely tactical moves by the regime. To discuss the current situation and what it means for human rights in Belarus, we are joined by Kanstantsin Staradubets, human rights defender at the Viasna Human Rights Centre. Konstantin, glad to see you back in our studio. Thank you for joining us today.
Hello, Evgeny.
So now that we know those, now that those 250 political prisoners have been released in Belarus, how would you assess the current situation with human rights, and how many political prisoners still remain incarcerated?
There are, after this major release last week, we have actually Lukashenko has around 900 political prisoners, which, however, to our estimates, does not strategically change the situation with human rights. It's still critical. It's only, you rightly said, a tactical move rather than a strategic change. It's not a breakthrough. In no sense.
But let's be honest, 250, I don't remember that kind of a number before.
Right. It is, on the face of it, it looks like a major breakthrough. But you have to look deeper. And
we will definitely talk about it. Okay. Amongst those released, some were deported. Let's be accurate about this, 15 people. 235 were left in Belarus. So does this mark any shift, as you said, in regime's policy towards political prisoners?
Yeah, the language is correct. Deportation. It's a deportation, nothing else. Yes, it is a new scheme, I would say, of interaction, of regime's interaction with its hostages, with political prisoners. People were allowed to stay in Belarus.
That's something new, to be honest.
It is totally new. It is good because this is something that human rights defenders, that the democratic community has demanded for so long. But we have to look at what.
Again, the bigger picture.
Yeah, the bigger picture, what the lives of those people will look like after their release. We know that their lives will be unbearable. They will be subjected to so many restrictions, starting with movement restrictions, bans of actually leaving their place of residence, the inability to open a bank account, to find a normal job, if any. So effectively that will lead to them being pushed out of the country together to follow those 15 who were deported.
Did you have a chance to somehow talk with those political prisoners, former now political prisoners, that are now in Belarus?
Only briefly, because the former prisoners were severely intimidated by prison authorities, by the repressive apparatus. They were warned, they were advised against talking to human rights defenders and the media. Otherwise, they will end up in prison. That's that's. I think Lukashenko himself said.
How come does that work? They were released, and then again, just for commenting, saying something to human rights defenders.
Because unfortunately, the laws of today's Belarus allow the authorities to do that. In the eyes of the authorities, that will mean breaching parole or early release or pardon restrictions or conditions. Also, talking to the media and human rights defenders in 100% of cases will mean talking to extremists.
Okay.
Which is a crime by itself.
What have these now former political prisoners that came to Lithuania, what have they told you about the conditions in prisons?
Well, they've not been a lot of stories and reports shared. In the first place, because people are in this very unique state of mind and physical health. They are not ready to share yet. Not ready to share their stories because they are afraid of being re-traumatized. They need time to come to their senses in a normal environment. Then probably we hope that they will share more details about how they were treated, or ill-treated actually, in prisons. But judging by earlier stories of people who were released in December, say, the conditions of detention, of prison treatment in prisons in Belarus remains very, very poor. People are still routinely and systematically ill-treated, physically and psychologically.
This special envoy, John Cole, he mentioned that he talked with Lukashenko about this issue of 10 prisoners out and 10 prisoners in. Do you think this might somehow change after John Cole's visit?
We hope so. Well, to start with, I would say that the ratio is not quite accurate. It's 10 out, 15 in.
15 in.
Sort of like this. Yeah, it is a very important move by the US, I think. It is the first time that they actually publicly share this demand. The demand that was proposed and pushed by human rights defenders. Stopping the repression, or at least putting an end to criminal arrests and criminal trials would signal a true change, a true breakthrough. So, but we will have to see what Lukashenko is ready to do about that.
Do you think that he is ready to do something about that?
He's not ready yet, but since he hears that demand from a US official, yeah. That means something. That means that this demand is on the table. That sooner or later he will have to succumb to that demand.
Do you think system that Lukashenko built is ready for such changes?
No, of course not, because his system is built on violence, on persecution, on giving more money and more power to those who torture people, who arrest them, who imprison them. Of course, that will actually make them jobless. Many of them, right, workless. So, yeah, it's a risk to Lukashenko, but frankly speaking, I don't care.
Talking about the recent events, recent releases, could you say that there are real changes in regime's behavior, or as we've mentioned before, all these releases are more of a tactical move?
Well, in a nutshell, it is a tactical move. It is a forced move. Which was not Lukashenko's true desire, but rather, again, forced by an external force which is greater than himself, by the US. His goals are not humanitarian. His goals are political and economic. This is something to be remembered and stressed again and again.
To what extent can this external force, external pressure, influence Minsk actions?
I think it is, in the case of US, it is limitless. But we will have to see, just by this recent example that we just discussed, how Lukashenko will react to the US demand to stop the arrests. If he is willing to succumb, to yield to that demand, that means that the pressure can grow and influence, have a greater impact on the situation in Belarus.
Do you think European Union has the same external force to influence Minsk actions?
Yes, the EU definitely has a huge potential and huge power. Sanctions in the first place, but they have a different nature. They are not used at this very moment, or little by little. They are building up, accumulating, in order to force Lukashenko to break in the long run.
What do you think is the main European Union's problem here?
The main problem is that the EU is
slow decision-making?
Decision-making is a collective space of 27 countries. And as we can see, one country one rogue country can advertently influence the whole situation. And this, most importantly, the pace of this process. It is so slow sometimes.
Okay, let's move on to some other stuff. Again, recently in a Telegram group supporting relatives of detainees was declared extremist by a court in Minsk. So could you please shed some light on this one in specific, and what does this tell us about the current level of repression?
That group, it's actually not about supporting, it's actually about sharing information between families of political prisoners held inside one prison. But it was a major chat. It included around 1,800
yes.
Family members. Yeah, it's a huge.
Just for instance, what kind of information were they sharing in that Telegram chat?
Well, sort of what foodstuff is allowed to be passed on to prisons, or how to send money to prisoners' internal prison accounts, so stuff like that, or checking whether someone is inside prison when a person is sort of lost. Yeah. So yeah, it's a problem. It's one of the few options for families to actually know what is going on inside that prison.
Okay, and then what happened?
And that don't happened. Meaning, since it's an extremist. Has an extremist designation, people are not allowed to communicate any longer as part of this chat. Probably they will create a new one. But then again, the authorities will use this label again against the new one.
How do you think the authorities find out about such groups?
Well, they are not invisible. I mean, they're huge. They infiltrate the chats. We know about that. They just, I mean, the police officers.
Sometimes they just scan people's phones.
Yeah, exactly. People are arrested routinely in Belarus, and in all of the cases, people's devices are checked thoroughly. That means, yeah, that including checking their subscriptions and membership in groups, chats, and so on.
Okay, in your opinion, what awaits those organizers of that Telegram chat?
We're yet to see. Luckily, I'm pretty sure that the organizers are outside of Belarus. We haven't seen any arrests affiliated with the decision. Probably, luckily, or let's hope that those people are not affected. That it's just a move to scare people off. I mean, so that they are not united or share information, rather than trying to punish the instigators, sort of.
My last question. The US is reportedly considering a possible meeting between Donald Trump and Alexander Lukashenko. So what impact could such a meeting have on the human rights situation in Belarus?
Well, judging again by the things that John Cole shared and Lukashenko also about, I mean, we're not here to believe what Lukashenko is saying. That the things that are on the table, this is the biggest prize for Lukashenko, one of the biggest prizes. And if it happens, if it takes place, I hope that the reward for that that he's willing to offer is the release of all political prisoners currently in prisons. That would be great.
And Lukashenko's head.
No, not yet, unfortunately. The even better scenario is stopping the repression. There is one very important factor that I forgot to mention, Russia. It has not yet had its say in the process. We fear that at some point it is going to intervene, to stop Lukashenko from interacting with US at the highest level.
I guess there's nothing more to add. It's just I'd like to wish the best of luck to you and your organization, and I really hope to see you once again in our studio.
Thank you.
With some good news, please.
Thank you. Let's hope.
And I would like to remind our viewers that our guest for today was Kanstantsin Staradubets, human rights defender at the Viasna Human Rights Centre. You're watching TVP World. Stay with us.